Welcome to the Weight Loss by Pete podcast, where our mission is to teach you how to lose weight in a healthy, sustainable, and permanent way.
So what do baseball and weight loss have in common? It's a very interesting question. We're going to get into that in just a second. I'm Pete Weintraub, and this is the Weight Loss by Pete podcast. I'm going to be putting this up on YouTube, though today I am not simulcasting it live. I'm just going to be putting it up with the image for the Weight Loss by Pete podcast. And you can listen to my podcast at any time on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. So today, we're going to be discussing what baseball and weight loss have in common. And if you know anything about baseball, then you know that a good hitter is one who is considered, who is able, I should say, to get 3 hits out of every 10 times at bat. So successful at bat roughly 30% of the time. Obviously, this is not a very good success rate if for only 30% of your week you're eating right, you're getting regular exercise, or you're getting exercise in period, and you're getting some consistent quality sleep. If you're only doing that for 30% of your week, you're not going to be successful. It's just not possible. Then you can look at pitchers, and these days, while standards have gone down measuring a pitcher's success rate, a quality start, which is considered a good start by a pitcher, is one where he throws 6 innings and gives up 3 runs or fewer. So if you give up 3 runs in 6 innings, let's say, that's giving up a run every 2 innings, so you're effective 50% of the time. And apparently that enables you to keep yourself in the game. And while that's a better means of measuring success, if 1 out of every 2 innings you're on point and the other one you falter a little bit on average, that's still not going to get the job done on your weight loss journey. You want to, at the very least, and this is phase 1 of my food guide, you can find that in the description below, a link to get my food guide and my healthy recipe book. But phase 1, when I work with any new client, or if you're looking to embark on this journey on your own, you just want to clean up your nutrition 80-20. So once you understand what good nutrition is, then you want to eat that way 80% of the time, and the other 20% you're going to have some wiggle room. You can have some of the cheat meals and snacks that you've been enjoying a little too much, which has obviously resulted in some of the issue here. But you may be wondering, what does that have to do with weight loss then? Because if a pitcher is considered effective if he's successful 50% of the time, and a hitter is considered effective if he only succeeds 30% of the time, then how does that relate to weight loss if I have to be on my game at least 80% of the time? Well, it's not so much about the measures of success. I don't think those really correlate between baseball and weight loss and health in general, at least not in the way that you would think. Instead, I think that it has a lot to do with the length of the baseball season and what it takes for a player, whether he's a pitcher or a position player, to prepare himself. So let's start off with the length of a baseball season. There's 162 games, 162 regular season games in a baseball season. Most teams play anywhere from 5 to 6 games per week, so they get an off day a week, sometimes 2, though that's rare. And if they're an all-star, then it's not as intense, but they are involved in the all-star game, potentially the home run derby, other all-star game festivities, so they don't really get a lot of time off. And that can obviously result in fatigue and issues down the stretch. And they call the middle of the baseball season the dog days of summer. So July and August, they call those the dog days of summer because it's hot and humid in most places. And it's literally like they're playing every day, right? If you're playing 5 or 6 days a week with 1 off day, you're playing every day. And what we see on TV is just them play. We don't see what preparation goes into it, which is how baseball ties in. Baseball is very much a grinding sport. Yes, it's not as physical, let's say, as football, American football. Obviously, if you're listening to this internationally, American football, gridiron, however you guys look at it, it's not as physically grueling game to game as the NBA, National Basketball Association, under the NHL, the National Hockey League. But there are a lot of games back to back to back to back, and there's a lot of wear and tear on the body. And again, yes, there's not as much physicality, which is partially why the season is so much longer, but still, it does wear on you. A lot of guys deal with nagging injuries throughout the year, some more serious than others, obviously, but that's definitely something that needs to be considered. And what the difference is actually between the best players and either the mediocre or even below average players who make the cut, at least at that level. Obviously, if they were to play in a recreational league, they'd kick the crap out of anybody in the league, is that they put a lot of time in preparing and priming their bodies to be successful. They have pre-game warm-up routines. They work on their hitting. They work on their fielding. If they're a pitcher, they work on their pitching. They work on their throwing. They work on their speed and their base running and their agility and their flexibility. And there's an off-season program for a lot of these guys where they either hire independent trainers and coaches to work with them, nutritionists to work with them and get them ready for the upcoming season, or some teams have a prescribed regimen which they do through their strength and training staff. But these guys, regardless, stay on their discipline. They do what needs to be done in order to ensure that they're in the best physical state and mental state to achieve peak performance more often than not. And look, everyone is human. You don't have to be perfect. But what separates the best players in baseball and also just the people who succeed on their permanent weight loss journey. There are a lot of people who can say, I've lost a lot of weight at one point or another, but there aren't a lot who can say they've kept it off. I personally lost 100 pounds, and I've kept it off for 5 years. How have I done that? Because I show up just about every day, I stay on my discipline, and the key is that I'm consistent. And I'm consistent in the 4 pillars of the permanent weight loss pyramid. My mindset's there. Yes, I have days where I fall off the wagon, just like anybody. Still, to this day, this is what I do for a living. I help people lose weight for good. And there are days where I fall off the wagon. And now some people can argue, yeah, well, you're in shape. One bad day or even a bad week isn't going to kill you. You know exactly what you need to do. You have the mental fortitude. You've been there, done that. And sure, that's true, but overall, I rarely, if ever, deal with a prolonged period where I struggle with my nutrition, where I struggle to exercise regularly. And the only thing that I've ever really struggled with is sleep. And that's just due to regulation of stress more than anything. And that's something that I'm going to continue to work on. Just like a baseball player, they call the best players 5-tool players. And what that means is that they can run, they can hit for power, they can field, and they can throw. That's what the 5 tools are. In permanent weight loss, there's the 4 tools. There's having the right mindset, check. Eating the right way a high percentage of the time, check. Getting enough consistent quality sleep, not checked off as well as it could be. I'd say if you were to measure me on a scale of 1 to 4, I'm probably a 2 out of 4 there. I'd say I'm a 3 out of 4 with my mindset, certainly improved over the time. And yes, I know I'm mentally tough. I've lost 100 pounds, I kept it off, and that's certainly not an easy task in this day and age with our instant gratification society and the plethora of easy to obtain junk food. Nutritionally speaking, I'm on point at least 80% of the time. There are some weeks where it's less than that, but for the most part, it's at least 80% of the time. Sometimes it's more. On top of that, we talk about sleep. Like I said, I struggle with that sometimes due to stress. I will get in my head, I'll worry about things that I have no control over, but I've gotten a lot better in the last year or two in realizing that certain issues are still going to be there in the morning. There's nothing I can do in the twilight hours. And there's not a lot of constructive thinking or action that can take place. So I'm just going to handle my business in the morning, and I can't do that unless I get good, consistent quality sleep. That is something that I've been prioritizing, getting better with, but still not up to par. And then when it comes to fitness, I'd say I'm a 4 out of 4. That's the easiest thing for me. I'm a very active guy. I have a client who pays me to work out with her 3 times a week. I also play softball 3 to 4 times a week. So I'm very, very active. And obviously my job with some of my clients, I still have some holdovers from when I was exclusively a personal trainer, and that's still the primary focus of what we do together. So obviously I'm either spotting them with weights, I'm getting weights for them, I'm demonstrating exercise, I'm on my feet, I'm walking around looking at them and stuff. It's a physically demanding position that I have when I'm out in the field for a lot of people, and obviously that's the easiest thing for me. But if you want to be a 4-tool player with permanent weight loss, because again, there aren't 5 tools here, there are 4 tools to achieving permanent weight loss, so there's less you have to worry about on that front than you do as if you're a baseball player. But what you got to do is you got to work to your strengths, and you don't have to work as hard on your strengths because those are your strengths, right? For me, I'm just an active guy. Fitness comes pretty naturally to me, so it's really not a big deal. Nutrition, it's really been ingrained. I've developed it as a habit. If I go too long without eating clean, which is usually only a day or two, then I really start to feel like crap. My body starts to reject all that stuff. And I know I need to correct it. It's before I really put on any significant weight and need to change anything. Mindset wise, I know why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I want to make an impact on your life if you're listening or watching. And I want to help as many people as I can. In order to do that, I need to walk the walk that I talk. So I need to be able to back up what I say, and the only way to do that is to show up in peak physical condition when you see video of me or if you ever meet me in person. I need to look like I'm in shape. I need to be in shape. I need to be prepared to take my shirt off or, be in a swimsuit or something and not have anyone question, wow, he really does weight loss? This guy's not in good shape. I can't be like that. So I gotta really watch what I eat and how I look. And that's all well and good. And then, like I said, with sleep, this is something I recently found out about in the last year or two. And it's something I've been working on for the last year or two. But it took me 3 years to figure out nutrition. And to then obviously not only just figure it out, but then implement it into my lifestyle. It's hard to give up over 2 decades worth of bad eating habits. It doesn't happen overnight. And there's a lot of physical and mental cravings that occur with certain types of food because they're comfort foods. For certain foods we call comfort foods for a reason, whether they're sugary or fried. And they elicit certain hormonal responses like dopamine in your brain. And it's the same thing that happens when you have sex or you're on certain drugs and stuff. And it's hard to give up, both physically and even more so mentally, because a lot of people turn to these things as crutches for overcoming whatever mental baggage they have going on in their life. It's like a way of escape almost. So like some people will smoke pot, or some people will go out drinking, or some people will become infatuated with video games or sporting events or whatever. And that is an outlet for, unfortunately, way too many people. And because it's commonplace in our society, it's a very common crutch that needs to be thrown out so you can learn to walk again on your own. So that's really what baseball and that has in common. It's a grind. Look, it's for the rest of your life. You need to be in there for the right reasons. We've talked about this ad nauseum. It's a lifestyle change. It takes 66 days to form a habit. So a little over 2 months. So you need to commit to this for 2 months. And if you commit to it to 2 months, it's going to be hard to not do all of these things on a consistent basis. And again, you're not going to be perfect. To err is to be human. There are going to be days where you eat like shit. There are going to be days, whether you intend to sabotage yourself with your sleep, or if you have kids, maybe they're sick, or maybe there's an emergency that you have to tend to with a family or a friend, family member or a friend. Shit happens. So obviously that can interfere with your sleep. The same goes for fitness. You can definitely plan it out and get it in most of the time, but there are going to be times and things that pop up sometimes that will interfere and throw you off your game. And then there are going to be times where you just say, fuck off, I'm going to sit on the couch and binge watch something on Netflix, and that's it. So that's how life is. And as long as you show up more often than not and do what you're supposed to do, remain consistent with your discipline. Like I said, after 2 months, it becomes second nature, and you can't go very long without doing any of that stuff. You may take a day off here and there, or even a couple of days off here and there, but you always get back on the horse and you go at it. So I hope you guys found this informative. So like I said earlier, if you want, in the description, there's going to be a link to download both my food guide and my healthy recipe book. The food guide goes over the 3 phases of nutrition that I teach both my private permanent weight loss clients, and they've helped many thousands more all over the world to begin to lose weight in a healthy, sustainable way. Then there's the healthy recipe book, The healthy recipe book has 72 recipes spanning breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, appetizers, and desserts. And it's a great starting point. So if you do like to cook, or you want to start cooking and preparing foods with real, whole, healthy ingredients, then you definitely want to check that out. There's ingredient lists and step-by-step directions. All these recipes are very easy to make. They're all delicious. I've heard great things from so many people over the years about how this book has helped them, and I wanted to help you too. So normally I would sell each book for $25, bringing it to a total of $50. But if you go today to the link down below, that's weightlossbypete.com/food guide recipes, then you'll be able to get a huge discount and buy both books for just $13.99. So for $13.99, it doesn't get any better than that, guys. So again, go to the description below, click on the link. That's weightlossbypete.com/food guide recipes. You can get yours today. And then the last thing I want to tell you guys is I'm looking to do this for you every single day. I missed yesterday, I know, I'm sorry. Again, just like with sleep for me, there are certain habits and certain things that I'm working on. And while there are days and times where I have every intention to do it, sometimes things pop up. Yesterday, it was a complete leisure day. I took off from work. I rescheduled all of my appointments that I had for yesterday, and I went to opening day for my favorite baseball team, the New York Mets. That's why the topic for today, baseball, was on my mind. But please, if you like this message, if you like any of my other podcast episodes or videos, please subscribe to my channel and please leave a review. Whether it's good or bad, I want to hear from you. I want to see how I can help you most. And also, if you like this message and you want me to talk about a specific topic, please leave a comment below and I'll be sure to get to it. So again, this is Pete Weintraub, Permanent Weight Loss Specialist. I'm signing off for the week. I'll be coming back at you on Monday, and Monday is April 2nd. So I'll miss you on April Fool's Day, but I'll be back on Monday, April 2nd. Have a great weekend, everybody. Talk to you Monday.